I love World War II history. It is one of my favorite topics. And in fact, if you watched my devotion last week, you would have seen I gave an illustration about Revelation 15 from Pearl Harbor and the moments leading up to Pearl Harbor and the moments leading up to what was going on in Revelation 15. And today I thought, hey, why not continue this series? Because today, the day I'm filming this, is actually a really big day. I'm on the USS Wisconsin. And the USS Wisconsin is a World War II battleship docked in downtown Norfolk, Virginia. I'm standing in the captain's in-port cabin. It's where the captain of the Wisconsin would always have the privilege of meeting and having a conference room, having his meals. Really cool place to be. And just outside of this, on the USS Missouri, on this same platform on her sister ship, basically identical boats, is where 75 years ago today, on September 2nd, 1945, a Japanese foreign minister, the Japanese general of their armies, and General Douglas MacArthur, the Supreme Allied Commander, signed the instrument of surrender that officially ended World War II. So it's a big deal, 75th anniversary. Here's a quote of what General Douglas MacArthur read just before they signed the instrument of surrender. He said, "We are gathered here, representatives of the major warring powers, to conclude a solemn agreement whereby peace may be restored." He continued, "It is my earnest hope, and indeed the hope of all mankind, that from this solemn occasion a better world shall emerge out of the blood and carnage of the past, a world founded upon faith and understanding, a world dedicated to the dignity of man and the fulfillment of his most cherished wish for freedom, tolerance, and justice." Then after both Japan and representatives from the United States all signed the unconditional surrender, officially ending World War II, General Douglas MacArthur got on the radio and gave a broadcast to all Americans. And here's a quote from that. He said, "Today, the guns are silent. A great tragedy has ended. A great victory has been won. The skies no longer rain death. The seas bear only commerce. Men everywhere walk upright in the sunlight. The entire world is quietly at peace. The holy mission has been accomplished." What a great day. It's all over, and today's the 75th anniversary. You're going to watch this on September 3rd when it's published, or perhaps after that, but big deal, 75th anniversary of the official and final ending of World War II. Well, today that's what Revelation 20 is really all about. It's all over here. Yesterday, you would have seen what happened in Revelation 19. And when I spoke to you last week, I talked about Revelation 15 just before it began. But today, just before this, the events of what's going to happen in Revelation 20, of course, Revelation 19 happened where the beast and the false prophet and all their followers are ultimately defeated and destroyed by God. And now today, John turns his attention to the events of Revelation 20. And at the beginning of the chapter, in Revelation 20, is where he describes how he is going to defeat fully and finally the ultimate adversary of all mankind and of God, which is the devil. And Satan is identified by four predominant names: the dragon, the ancient serpent, the devil, or Satan. And in this chapter, after Satan is bound, he is then released again into the earth. And then he proves, after this being bound for what's called 1,000 years, he proves that he's never repented. It's not like he has a moment of sorrow and said, man, I should reconsider my ways. He actually goes back into full attack mode, deceiving the nations of the earth, and they come together to destroy the city of God and the people of God. And then, at the conclusion of all these culminating events, all these armies ready to fight in one final and last battle, we have some of the greatest verses in all of the Bible. Revelation 20:10, "And the devil, who deceived them, was thrown into the lake of burning sulfur, where the beast and the false prophet had been thrown. They will be tormented day and night forever and ever." Oh man, that is great news. That is great verses. I've been privileged to be a part of the Lazarus Project, to walk alongside people through some of the most difficult seasons of life, observe natural tragedies, personal tragedies, and all the sort. On this day, it's finally over. Satan is completely defeated. That's the end of the story. He has no more reign, no more dominance, no more control, no more influence. God ultimately and finally says, you are done, you are defeated. And in fact, unlike the end of World War II, unlike Japan, who said, we surrender, we're going for peace, Satan never surrenders. God just fully and finally defeats him in a heroic act for the ultimate and final product that no more will there be sin, sickness, disease, and death. God ultimately binds him up and throws him in the lake of fire. In fact, God also binds up and throws in Hades and even death itself into the lake of fire. So much now of Revelation 20 is debated among scholars. What this means, what that means. I could not possibly hope to cover that, not just in one short video, but even an entire sermon series. And even if we covered it, we wouldn't settle all the debates. But the biggest point of this chapter, I think, yes, there's some judgment at the end. That's really important too. That's something worth reading. Take time to go read it. But the thing I look at and that I rejoice in this chapter is that ultimately, fully and finally, God will deal with all the havoc that Satan has pushed down on mankind, the weight that we've borne on our shoulders. And today, in commemorating the 75th anniversary of the ending of World War II, this great and most costly war in all of world history, we can also commemorate, as believers, the future hope that we have, that one day God will fully and finally defeat the devil, set him to the side, never to harm us, never to wreak havoc on mankind again. God's judgment will be over. And on that day, we can say it's fulfilled what says in Romans 16:20, which is just simply this, that soon the God of peace will crush Satan underneath your feet.